This is a DGHradio.com news and information United States Virgin Islands weather review.
Hey there, and welcome to your U.S. Virgin Islands Weather Explainer. We're going to break down everything you need to know so you can plan your week.
So here's what we've got on tap. We'll start with the big picture in the tropics, then we'll zero in on this week's main weather hazards. After that, we'll get into the day-by-day details, cover what's happening on the water for boaters and beachgoers, and then wrap it all up with the key takeaways.
All right, let's dive right in, starting with the most important update for our region, the tropical outlook.
And we're starting off with some fantastic news from the National Hurricane Center. The entire Atlantic, that includes the Caribbean and the Gulf, is expected to stay quiet for the next 7 days. You know, that's definitely a sigh of relief for all of us.
But even with no tropical cyclones on the horizon, we've still got some pretty significant weather to talk about. So let's look at the 3 main stories you really need to be aware of this week.
Okay, so we're going to be dealing with some serious heat, a pretty dangerous rip current situation that's developing at our beaches, and then a tropical wave that's set to bring us a soaking rain to finish off the weekend. First up, let's talk about that heat. The most important number you need to remember for the early part of this week is 105. Now, that is not the actual air temperature, that's the heat index. So the heat index, right, it combines the air temperature with the humidity to tell you what it actually feels like outside. And when it's this high, it's a real health risk. So for anyone sensitive to heat, or for those of you working or even just exercising outdoors, you've got to take extra precautions. Stay hydrated.
Next up, let's talk about the rip current risk. And this is really important because it is going to escalate in a big way this week. We're starting out with a moderate risk today, but that is going to change and fast.
By Thursday night, that risk starts to climb as a northerly swell makes its way into our waters. And then by Friday, we are looking at a high risk for life-threatening rip currents. This is going to be especially true for our north-facing beaches on all the islands. It is a serious threat, and you absolutely need to be aware of this if you're even thinking about a beach day.
And that brings us to our third big weather story of the week. The main event for the weekend is an incoming tropical wave, and it's set to get here on Sunday.
So this system is going to cap into some deep tropical moisture. That means Sunday is going to be breezy with our highest rain chances of the entire week. All that extra moisture also brings the potential for some urban and small stream flooding, so definitely keep that in mind as you're making your Sunday plans.
Okay, so with those key hazards in mind, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Here is your day-by-day forecast for the U.S. Virgin Islands. You can really see the story of the week unfold here. We're starting with scattered showers today, but then things really dry out for Thursday and Friday. See those lower rain chances? But you'll notice that shift as we head into the weekend. Saturday, the breeze and the rain chances start to pick back up, and that leads us right into our wettest day on Sunday, with a 60% chance for numerous showers and maybe even a rumble of thunder. Then things should quiet back down by Monday. All right, for everyone on or near the water, this next section is for you. We're breaking down the specific conditions you can expect right at the shoreline and in our coastal waters.
Out on the water, it's really a tale of 2 different periods this week. Early on, things are pretty calm, seas around 2 to 4 feet. But starting late Thursday, everything changes. That's when a northerly swell arrives, and it's going to build those seas up to 6 feet, or maybe even higher.
So what does that mean? It means small craft operators, you're going to need to exercise caution, especially from late Thursday on. The combination of that swell in the Atlantic waters and those moderate to fresh easterly winds this weekend will definitely make for some choppy conditions out there.
And I want to be crystal clear about what we mean by a high risk of rip currents. We're not just talking about strong waves. These are powerful, narrow channels of water that pull away from the shore. A high risk means these life-threatening currents are not just possible, they are likely. So please heed all the warnings and stay safe at the beach. So, what's the bottom line? What should you really take away from all this? Let's do a quick recap of the 3 most important points for the week ahead.
First, the heat. With those feels-like temperatures hitting over 100, you have to stay hydrated and just take it easy when you're outside. Second, the top beach hazard is that high rip current risk on Friday. Be extremely careful. And third, get ready for a soggy end to the weekend because that tropical wave is bringing wet and breezy weather for Sunday.
And that just about wraps up your weather explainer for the U.S. Virgin Islands. We've covered the heat, the dangerous surf, and that incoming rain. So I guess the only question left to think about is how are you going to adjust your plans for that wet and breezy Sunday? Thanks for joining us.